What up, racer? It's Jerone here, and welcome back to another league racing video. Today we are here in Belgium, around the track of Spa-Francorchamps. To be honest, I think this is a really good track for league racing. I also really enjoy driving this track, so I was very excited to come out to this track in the AOR League. As you can see on the standings, we are currently in 6th place. I think me and Solid Ninja are the ones that are most consistent when it comes to point scoring in our league, and basically everyone around us, so Tin Can, Zach, George, Pedro, they're all very fast racers, but sometimes they're just simply not consistent enough. So it's quite interesting to see that dynamic that me and Solid Ninja basically rack up the points every time, whereas some others are clearly more potent to get on the podium and still be beneath us on the standings. Anyway, somehow it is once again a dry race. It seems to never rain in AOR, so quite odd. Usually Belgium is always not filled with rain, but definitely very potent for changing weather conditions. But that's not the case today. It will be completely dry for both qualifying and the race. As you can see, loading my setup, I felt this was a really good setup. I really felt I had the pace this weekend, so that was even more of a confidence booster coming into this weekend. Although I did invalidate my first flying lap, I think due to the higher fuel loads I wasn't quite expecting to understeer the car that much. But as you can see, just putting a second lap in immediately after, same tires. But one thing that's, you need to keep in mind driving around this track in 18-minute qualifying session, is that if you try to do 2 runs on your first set, you will really get close for time in the session. So that's why you'll see in a few moments. I didn't feel like this lap was actually good enough. So I decided to back out and basically use the newer 2 sets of tires to set my laps. So that's what I will do. And if you compare the 2 laps, I think I was 2/10 ahead at the apex of Blanchimont. So this lap indeed was better. Coming out of bus stop, of course, trying to get the best exit possible, and it leads to a provisional 5th place for now on a 41.5. My personal best was, my time trial time was a 0.75, I believe, and usually in the short qualifying sessions you have a little bit more grip than in the time trial sessions. So in theory I should be able to do a 40.6 on an insane lap. Although that's of course very unlikely to happen in the actual session. Anyways, coming into turn 1, braking just ever so slightly before the 100 meters. Trying to stay quite close actually. You don't really need to open up the corner that much to get a good launch. Rather, the rotation is important. Anyways, going up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Opened the DRS a little bit too late, going down the Camel Straight, then carrying the brakes into this corner, staying in 5th gear to keep the car stable. Of course, trying to get the best exit possible. Didn't really optimize the track there. I think I had more space. But that's the thing, when you invalidate the first lap, it means that you have to be a little bit conservative on the second lap. And when you see you are up on your time, you also don't want to mess up the run completely, so that's perhaps why you don't give the full aggression in your 3rd run. Anyways, currently 3/10 up, and very likely to improve. Just trying to get the best exit possible here. It's very important to get a good exit, since the run up to Blanchimont and to the bus stop chicane is very long, and we get it right. The game says we've done a purple middle sector, but that's definitely not the case. You don't need to run completely to the side through Blanchimont. It's quite easy flat in the dry. Braking for the bus stop chicane ever so slightly before the 100 meter boards. This time I get a little snap of oversteer, trying to get on the throttle out of the bus stop chicane, and it's a low 41.2. And as you can see, I was beaten by Pedro by 0.02 of a second. But it means we have qualified in a 4th place, and I think it can be considered quite a good qualifying. Although I was definitely capable of going even faster. But 4th place is a very good starting point for this race, with Ladus, Pedro and Terra Racer in front. And then I have my teammate Zach and Basti behind me. For the race I wanted to add 2 extra percentage on the off-throttle differential, just to keep the car a little bit more stable in the race. It's quite an easy one stop. And no, this time nothing happened on the formation lap. Pedro nearly binned it, didn't bin it completely, as we are getting ready for the 5 red lights, revving up to about 11 to 12,000 RPM, and we get quite a good launch, and thought about going down the inside and making it 3 wide, but didn't do so. But now we got tagged from behind and we're put into a half spin, and literally the whole grid flies past us, as we're now down to 11th place, and we have OGD on our side. Decide to let him through, as I don't want to run side by side through Eau Rouge and Radion. Anyways, Simu gets on the grass a bit, therefore he gets a poor run. Thought about making it 3 wide, as I was quite angry at this point, but I didn't do so. So we have lost a whole load of positions from the start as OGD runs wide, so we decide to go side by side. Can we send it down the inside? Yes, we can. Push him out a little bit. Quite a bit of an aggressive move. You can understand I was quite annoyed at this point, but I think it was still fair enough, and we make up 1 more position, as we now have Simu on medium tires in front of us, and I think my teammate Zach got away a little bit better from the incident, although, well, he obviously got collected in the incident as well, but he is now 3 places ahead of us in 8th place. And I think what happened during the incident was that I gave plenty of space down the inside, and Zach wanted to take the inside, but because he was quite hesitant, I think Basti got down his inside and our wheels just got tangled up. Anyways, braking for the bus stop, and
Sebastian Vettel and Pierre Gasly, what has happened? We need to know who's going to come out in front, as we see Lance Stroll hitting the barrier and going over the curb one more time.
Now we've got wing damage. I don't think this will help our race, will it? It definitely won't. So this is a horrific first lap, as I decide to let Solid Ninja go on his medium tires, but as you will see in a few moments, it appears that he also had wing damage. So at the end of this lap we will both go into the pit lane. I don't think I've had such a bad start in this league before, so I have to go on hard tires, and as you can see I unfortunately do not have replay cameras, but yeah, I just left plenty of space, and Zach just got tangled on my rear wing, or on my rear wheel I mean, or on my side pod, and Basti just also got tagged. I had to brake on the traction zone in order to not create a situation where we would all spin. Rather, of course, lose positions than, well, spin out immediately. But yeah, this definitely hampered our race, as we are now nearly 30 seconds behind everyone who has stayed out. So me and Solid Ninja will really have to make up a lot of time, as Solid Ninja just completely loses it through Eau Rouge. I also did this in my social race on the cold hard tires. It is, well, quite challenging actually to make that corner, and he definitely got it wrong. So I'm already a second and a half in front of Solid Ninja. So for the rest of the race we will really have to hope for incidents and safety cars. Talking about incidents, OJD got caught up in one, and his teammate Basti has now completely binned it. So that moves us up a position, but what is this? This is an error. I got kicked out of the session. And that is also why I think I don't have access to my replay cameras, unfortunately, to give a better view of the incident. So, can anything else go wrong? Yes, of course, my AI has drained, well, half of the battery in basically a single lap. So, I'm now down to 40% on the ERS, whereas I was on like 80 or 90% before I got disconnected. So, that's quite unfortunate, and also in the meantime Solid Ninja has managed to nearly catch up to us again. But as you'll see in the rest of the video, I was basically faster than Solid Ninja. I would say by an average of, well, 3/10 a lap maybe. Anyways, it's now lap 9, just trying to be as consistent as possible, and we're now 12 seconds behind everyone. So this was of course the horror start, which had to happen at some time, as now my teammate actually decides to retire. I think he got caught up in another incident, so we're now in 11th place. As we see Teskel going slow on lap 13, he might have wing damage. I think that is the case. So we're now up into the points paying positions again in 10th place. Unfortunately we are 17 seconds behind the rest of the pack. But yeah, I was just watching out for incidents the whole race basically, as here Tin Can got tangled up in an incident. But the problem was everyone was just so far ahead due to the time it took to change our wing, and the fact that we're driving around on a slower compound, as now also Ralph and Tin Can have another incident on lap 19. I also got my 3-second time penalty in the meanwhile, I think on lap 17 or something. Yeah, I was just trying to keep it as consistent as possible. Maybe a late safety car would come out, just like in Italy, but unfortunately that was not the case. As now, for some reason, Tin Can decides to retire from the race. He was 4 or 5 seconds ahead with only 2 laps remaining, so I really think he could have kept that position, but well, clearly he thought otherwise, as it's now the final lap of the race. Ralph had wing damage and we managed to catch up to her. So this is my first overtake the whole race, and also my first DRS usage for the whole race, and somehow we have still managed to come away with an 8th place in this race. I was also thinking about trying to set a fastest lap, potentially pitting for soft tires, but when I got into the points paying positions, that of course was not a feasible strategy anymore. So didn't get the opportunity to flex my pace. To be honest, I'm most disappointed with the fact that I didn't really get involved in any racing. To be honest, I don't even care too much about losing points to that regard. And also somehow I managed to keep a few of my championship rivals, Zach, Tin Can, Solid Ninja, behind me. So I even gained a few points on them. In conclusion, my chances of getting a podium were ruined on turn 1, and then I ruined my chances of scoring good points afterwards because, well, I just braked too late and Simu braked a little bit early, but it's definitely my fault. But anyways, if you did enjoy the video, then I would massively appreciate it if you could hit the like button. Of course I will keep my head up and on to the next one. Bye bye.